You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. A very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Love finding good things to celebrate. Today, I'm just a simple guy. National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. I can go with that. It's real plain, real simple. Maybe we do a fancy bread. I don't know. Peanut butter and jelly. What kind of jelly do you like? I never was into the apricot jelly until we went up to Los Osos, up along the Central Coast. Great place to go walk if you've ever gone out of Los Osos, Montaña de Oro, right over the water. Beautiful, beautiful spot. But there's a restaurant there called Celia's. She does homemade apricot jelly. I wonder what that would taste like with peanut butter. Maybe it might be good. Let's see what else. DIY Day. The only thing DIY is all DIY my martinis. Do that at the end of the day. But I think when they talk about DIY, aren't they really referring to work around the house? Yeah, I don't know about that one because I don't do any work around the house. So here's the story. I mean, I get a lot of people that laugh at me because I don't do this stuff. So here's the issue. I actually tried at one time doing some of the things. Number one, I can't do it very well. Number two, it costs way too much money when I go ahead and try and do something in the handy realm. And I just don't know what I'm doing, and it's not fun for me. It's not pleasurable. I know there's some people that enjoy it. I have a very good friend of mine who enjoys doing yard work. Okay, well, he can afford to hire a gardener, but he enjoys it. It's his pleasure. So, you just look and say, okay, what do you enjoy? DIY, that handyman work, isn't good for me. Now, I did have a friend of mine who was always laughed at me because I would hire a handyman to do everything. And those days, it was about $25 an hour for a handyman, give or take. Now it might be a little bit more, but $25 an hour. He would laugh and laugh and laugh till one day he went and borrowed a ladder from somebody. And as he's walking out of the garage with the ladder, he turns and smacked the front end of the guy's daughter's brand new car. Now, I started laughing at him and saying, how much did that cost you to get that fixed, to fix that brand new car for the ladder that you went and borrowed? It was about $800, and he wasn't very happy about it. I can understand that he wouldn't be too happy about it. So I just turned to him and I started chuckling, and I said, let's see, $800 divided my handyman $25 an hour. I can pay my handyman 32 hours worth of work for the amount that it's going to cost you, and you still had to go do your job. So who gets the last laugh there? I just throw that out there. Let's see what else we can celebrate. National Reconciliation Day. Now, that could be a requirement for some people. There might be some people out there that after they go through the thought of April Fool's Day, maybe they're needing to reconcile. So let's just take a look at a couple of the more humorous. And I told you that, I gave up April Fool's Day a long time ago, but I look at some of these. Okay, so I don't know if you know this one. Tinder. Have you heard of Tinder? Are you familiar with Tinder? Okay, so Tinder linked a job posting for its, quote, vice president of ghost hunting, unquote. A role designed to spearhead Tinder's new ghost hunting strategy to address and reduce overall ghosting behavior with skill requirements, including a proven track record of being ghosted in a previous relationship and references who will actually text back. Okay. Empire State Building teased a new addition to its 86th floor, the world's highest rainforest cafe. Lee Kum Kee makes sriracha, introduced a sriracha mayo toothpaste for people to freshen up and keep those cavities away with a bold, spicy flavor built up for top-tier oral hygiene. Amtrak used the holiday to introduce an emotional baggage train car. Encouraged its users on X, formerly known as Twitter, to tag a friend who needs a lift. We can handle it. Yeah. Subway posted on X it was introducing the sub you never knew you needed, the Gherkin Grinder, which appeared to be a sub sandwich on a bun made of pickles. Okay, that's a little bit of interesting stuff there, fun stuff. Let's see what the markets are doing. Do we want to see what the markets are doing today? Dow Jones Industrial Average down 498 points as we speak. The S&P 500 is down 55. The NASDAQ is down 222 points. Ow! Oil up another $1.22 a barrel. Cleveland Fed's Fed voting member, Mester, says she will not vote to lower interest rates next month. Now let's think about this one. So doesn't the Fed tell us always that they're data dependent? I thought that the Fed is always coming up. We're data dependent. We'll figure out what we're going to do based on what the data tells us. Okay, Ms. Mester. So I guess it doesn't matter what we get in the jobs report that's coming up on Friday. We get the ADP jobs report tomorrow, and we're going to get the BLS, also known as the BS jobs report. That'll come out on Friday. So I guess Ms. Mester doesn't need to know any of the information about that. So, you got to wonder about some of these folks. Now, we've been looking at a lot of numbers, and the numbers are telling us that not good. Now, here's the issue. Here's the concern. The Fed has a dual mandate. What is their dual mandate? Well, they need to be price stability. No one ever says in their mandate 2% inflation. It just says price stability. So if prices are stable at 3%, that equals price stability. And full employment. Well, if we're talking about full employment, the largest state in the union yesterday now has the highest unemployment rate in the country. California, 5.3% unemployment.
It is what it is.
And that's before they start laying off people at fast food restaurants that they can't afford because of the $20 an hour minimum wage. Think about that one. Now, I've been listening to the news and I hear all these consumers. You got to love a consumers out there, right? So consumers, I was watching one on one of the stations, and the consumers saying they were in front of an El Pollo Loco where the restaurateur said they're going to have to raise prices 15% because wages went up 25%. And the consumer says, well, why are they increasing the cost of food, the cost of the product? Well, what did you think he's going to do? Absorb it? Do you think that An Pollo Loco franchisee is a small business owner. They can't absorb everything that the government wants to charge. It doesn't work. The math isn't there. Yet people say, well, let's just charge it. Charge it. You got this Proposition 1. Sounds great. $6 billion bond issue. Someone has to pay it. You've got the bridge issue in Maryland. I get it. I feel for all of those folks out there, and it's going to impact the entire eastern part of the country. $600 million they're now talking about as a debt because the president said, well, the federal government's going to pay the whole bill. The federal government has no money. The federal government is broke. The federal government is on an unsustainable path forward. So yes, maybe the federal government should do it, but we've talked about this many times on Ron Siegel Radio. There are a lot of households right now that if they had a flat tire, they could not get it fixed because they don't have the $300 or $400 or $500 spare money. They have to wait till payday or borrow money in order to get a tire fixed. They don't have it. So what do? Well, they have to cut somewhere else. Maybe they're not going to go to the beach this weekend. Maybe they can't afford the gas to get down there. There we go on another tangent, on another rabbit trail. Gas to get down there, $5.12 a gallon here in California, $3.07 in Mississippi. Okay, so we look at all these things and say, but what does that family have to do? They have to make choices. They have to cut something in order to pay for something that's needed. Does the federal government ever think about the idea of $600 million? How are we going to pay for it? Yeah, but no, let's give them more money. Let's give Ukraine more money. Let's give everybody more money. And, oh, yeah, that means the U.S. taxpayer has to pay it. Think about these issues. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, why overpricing your house can cost you, how to make the most of your tax refund, and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Hey there, friends. Wondering if now is the right time to buy a home? Or are you waiting for a bunch of foreclosures? The facts speak loud and clear. Defaults and foreclosures are down. Sure, we might be headed towards a recession. But did you know interest rates typically drop and real estate values often go up during a recession? So what are you waiting for? Higher prices or higher payments? Don't navigate these waters alone. Connect with RonSiegelRadio.com today. That's RonSiegelRadio.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, APR. They tell us the number that goes into creating your mortgage payment. That would be the interest rate. And yesterday was an ugly day for interest rates. Conventional 30-year conventional loan, 30-year fixed rate up almost 12 basis points, 6.85%. 30-year jumbo up 18 basis points, 7.11. 30-year FHA up almost 0.25%, 25 basis points, 6.702. USDA loan, that was up. That's our rural areas. Generally no down payment, 6.591. And the best loan on the market, 30-year VA loan, 6.49. That was up 17.8 basis points. So almost 0.1%. That one was up 6.49. And the numbers are not looking any better today. They're still looking rough. So the numbers are still going up. Not as bad as they were earlier. But hey, if you want to get our market commentary, as early as the data allows, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. We send that out each morning, again, as early as the data allows. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later. Depends on the reports for the given time period. So we're always watching that for you. But let's take a look and see what's going on the markets right now. The S&P 500 is now down 55 points. So it's continuing its downward trend. And we'll talk about that in a minute as to why that's happening. Let's see also the 10-year Treasury up 4 basis points. That was up a bit more than that earlier today. It hit the level of resistance, bounced back down. Mortgage-backed securities were up quite a bit more. They're up 3 basis points right now. Remember, when the bond goes up, the rate goes down. So we're looking at the mortgage-backed security bond up, rates down just a slight tick right now. So what's driving these things? Well, February JOLTS data showed that job openings contracted. The headline appears to show an increase, but there were significant negative revisions to January. The January report initially showed 8.863 million job openings, which was revised down 115,000 to 8.748 million. In January, they rose a very modest 8,000 to 8.756 million. That's well below the initially reported January figures. The quit rate remained at 2.2% for the fourth month in a row, which is the lowest since 2018, when removing COVID. This shows some weakness in the labor market, as a lower quit rate means less people feel confident about getting a new job, less poaching from other companies. CoreLogic Home Price Insights reported that home prices rose a very strong 0.7% in February after falling 0.1% in January. Important to note that CoreLogic forecasted there would be zero gain in February. They are now up 5.5% year over year, which is a slight decrease from 5.8% in the previous report. We're seeing a similar pattern to last year, when appreciation went negative in December and January, but then started to gain again in February. CoreLogic forecasts that home prices will rise 0.4% in March and 3.1% over the next year, which is an increase from 2.6% in the previous report. They'll likely continue to revise that up, as they're typically on the conservative side. ISM Manufacturing Index came in hotter than expected, which caused the market to sell off sharply. The index rose from 47.8 to 50.3 in March, breaking back above the 50 level for the first time since October 2022. Remember, anything over 50 signals expansion, growth. Anything below 50 is contraction, shrinkage. This was a much stronger than estimates and was a surprise, as manufacturing has been a weak point in the economy. Some of the run-up was due to inventory builds. They're not selling it. They're just building it and putting it into inventory. That's temporary, though. The inventory component rose to a 13-month high of 48.2 from 45.3 in February. If not for that inventory run-up, the headline would have remained in contraction, shrinking 49.7. Looking at the internal prices, which is an inflation measure, rose from 52.5 to 55.8, highest level since July 2022, which the bond market did not like. Anything that says that we're get prices going up or inflation is not good for bonds. Employment, which is very important for rate cuts, also improved from 45.9 to 47.4. While this is still in contraction below 50, it was much stronger than expected. It did not help rate cuts. The Fed futures are showing a 59% chance of a cut in June. Ain't going to happen. So, no, I'm not giving financial advice, but we are not going to see a rate cut in June. That rate cut will come in July. Just my opinion, and I'm sharing it. July, November, December. Those are the rate cuts. And again, it was I found the argument by Danielle DiMartino, very compelling as to that schedule being July, November, and December. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva has the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Now, I started to talk a little earlier about the inflation numbers and the Fed's dual mandate. Well, the dual mandate is that we have stable pricing. So, and that was an arbitrary number put out there several years ago, several decades ago, and the Federal Reserve Chairman at the time, Greenspan, said that this will cause a problem if this information ever gets out, and it has, and it does cause the problems that we have. But the other part of their dual mandate is full employment. And when we look at all of the internals, other than the BS report that'll come out on Friday, we see a lot of problems in the internals. Well, there's a lot of companies that are cutting jobs. Daily job cuts is a measure that's used that a lot of the companies will use. They also look at, I think it's Indeed. I think Indeed is the one that came up with some of the other numbers, that job postings. Well, if you've got less job postings on Indeed, and you've got the daily job cuts number is growing, the Warren notices are growing. We see the effect that inflation is having. Just Pizza Hut alone laid off 1,000 workers, their delivery drivers. So all of these things are saying that there is challenges in the job market. Once the BS report catches up to what the rest of us already know, and that is that we're having trouble with jobs, that there are no jobs being added, that the real issue is that we're contracting, we're losing jobs. Now, they can put in the seasonal adjustments and the birth-death adjustments and take us from 2.5 million jobs lost to 353,000 jobs gained because of their manufactured, their fabricated adjustments. But that doesn't mean that 2.5 million people that lost their jobs can go to the grocery store. They can't. Well, they might be able to because the numbers are not showing up in the unemployment numbers. Why? Well, some of those folks are high income earners. If you're a high income earner and you're getting a 60% severance, are you going to go stand in line for unemployment at $400 or $500 a week? No, not until the severance runs out and you find out, oh no, I can't get a job. Because look at Indeed, there's not as many jobs. The JOLTS report just showed that there's not as many new jobs postings. And they've been saying, even though that JOLTS report came out with some strong numbers or adequate numbers, I guess they're not really strong numbers, but the JOLTS report came out saying that there are, what did we say, 8.863 million job openings. That was a January number. 8.756 million job openings. One of the issues that they've had with the JOLTS report is that because of our new economy, where people learned how to work remotely, you could have a job that's available for somebody to walk into an office in Irvine, California, but it might also be posted in Dallas, Texas, because they can work remote. So that job that's on there, the over 8 million jobs, there are many of them that are duplicated. Now, what happens if you try and get one of those jobs? Well, you can't. So the bottom line there is the labor market, the underlying numbers of the labor market are not good. But wait, you say, Ron, so why isn't the Federal Reserve taking that into account when they talk about the economics and the numbers? Well, because they use what's going on in the headlines. I know that they're smart. Well, some of them are smart enough. Some of them are attorneys. Not that attorneys are not smart, but attorneys are trained in the law. A good deal of attorneys are not trained economists. Ask them, they'll tell you. So if you're not a trained economist, you look at the headline and say, we got a good jobs number. We're only at 3.9% unemployment. But it doesn't tell you that 40 or 50 other states are showing that their unemployment numbers are increasing and it hasn't hit the modeling yet. Real numbers are well ahead of the modeling. The BS report, that one's done by modeling. They only surveyed a small number of people, and they take that and they put in the jobless claims for the week of whatever week of the 12th of the month falls into. They put all that together and they model a amount of new jobs or job losses. They don't actually know that. ADP really knows it because they're writing the paychecks. Now, the part that ADP doesn't cover is and that's the number that'll come out tomorrow, is if they cut their hours or they're laid off and anticipating coming back, but they haven't terminated them in the system, they don't show up in their job loss portion. So that even though they may not be getting any hours, they're still employed. They still got a job. They could come back to that company if things get better. So got to be careful of that stuff. Now, why do I bring all of this up? Well, we've got the Federal Reserve saying that they're not going to cut rates. What happens if they have to increase rates? We're going to chat when we come back. I want to talk to you a little bit about how do you protect yourself from losing a job? How do you protect yourself from maybe increases in the cost of your household debt? We'll talk about all that and more. Reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment today, being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Why overpricing your house can cost you. That is our subject today. If you're trying to sell your house, you may be looking at this spring season as the sweet spot. And you're not wrong. We're still in a seller's market because there are so few homes for sale right now. And historically, this is the time of year when more buyers move and competition ticks up. That makes this an exciting time to put up that for sale sign. But while conditions are great for sellers like you, you'll still want to be strategic when it comes time to sell your asking price, to set your asking price. That's because pricing your house too high may actually cost you in the long run. Downside of overpricing your house. The asking price for your house sends a message to potential buyers. From the moment they see your listing, the price and the photos are what's going to make the biggest first impression. And if it's priced too high, you may turn people away. As an article from U.S. News Real Estate says, even in a hot market where there are more buyers than houses available for sale, buyers are not going to pay attention to a home with an inflated asking price. That's because no home buyer wants to pay more than they have to, especially not today. Many are already feeling the pinch on their budget due to ongoing home price appreciation and today's mortgage rates. And if they think your house is overpriced, they may write it off without even stepping foot in the front door, or simply won't make an offer if they think it's priced too high. If that happens, it's going to take longer to sell, and ideally, you don't want to have to think about doing a price drop to try to reignite interest in your house. Why? Some buyers will see the price cut as a red flag and wonder, why was the price reduced? Or they'll think something is wrong with the house the longer it sits. As an article from Forbes explains, quote, It's not only the price of an overpriced home that turns buyers off. There's also another negative component that kicks in. If your listing just sits there and accumulates days on the market, it will not be a good look. Buyers don't necessarily ask anyone what's wrong with the home. They'll just assume that something is indeed wrong and will skip over the property and view more recent listings, unquote. Your agent's role in setting the right price, instead pricing it at or just below current market value from the start, is a much better strategy. So how do you find that ideal asking price? You lean on professionals. Only an agent has the expertise needed to research and figure out the current market value for your home. They'll factor in the condition of your house, any upgrades you've made, and what other houses like yours are selling for in your area, and they use all of that information to find that target number. The right price will bring in more buyers and make it more likely you'll see multiple offers too. Plus, when homes are priced right, they tend to sell quickly. Bottom line, even though you want to bring in top dollar when you're selling, setting the asking price too high may deter buyers and slow down the sales process. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's chat about this. And I'll share with you a story that just happened this past weekend. And it's kind of ironic that we have this report this morning. But on Friday, I went and visited with a friend of mine, and he was telling me the house down at the end of his street was priced at $1,200,000. And he said, there's no way in heck that property's worth that. They're never going to get it. It's just not going to happen. And I went and looked it up. And first off, the sign was so small, I didn't even see a for sale sign when I was coming through the neighborhood. And then I went and I looked and I said, looked it up on the internet. And I said, well, it's a respectable agent. But there was a $100,000 price reduction within the first couple of weeks. $100,000. That is a massive price reduction. Usually, you see 25,000, you see a 10,000, you see a 50,000. But $1.2 million and you see a $100,000 price reduction? Well, it tells you that they were fishing. They figured, well, there's nothing on the market, and we're going to put this up at $1.2 million, see if we get somebody to take it. And if we get a taker, great. If we don't get a taker, oh, well, we'll just start reducing the price. And you wonder how many people are going to start saying, what's wrong with that property? Because you start, and then they look even closer to see what's the real value of it. They're not in a bidding war. Now, we've shared a chart with you many, many times that comes from the National Association of Realtors. They actually commissioned it through, I think, Move Sales, I think. And thanks, Josh, for getting that up on the screen so quick. So Josh just put this on the screen. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed. And it shows it's a triangle that gives us the impact of price on visibility. So if your property is priced above 15% above market value, well, you're only going to sell it to 10% of the market. You got to find the exact right desperate person. If your property is priced 10% above market value, only 30% of the market is going to see it. If it's priced at market value, 60% will see it. Price at 10%, 75% of the market will see it. And if it's priced 15% below value, 90% will see it. So let's take a look at this one property that I was just referencing and compare it to another one that I know of just recently. So this property was priced at $1.2 million, dropped now to $1.1 million because obviously nobody bought it at the $1.2 million. Hasn't been sold at $1.1 million. We'll see what happens. Now, there was a property that I know of less than 2 miles from that one that was priced at $1.6 million. Unbelievable amount of activity on that property. And in the first weekend, it sold at $1,950,000. $350,000 above what they thought the value was. They didn't price it, ridiculously low. They just priced it aggressive. Pricing aggressive gets you the results you want to get, because when you had 150 people come through that property and multiple people made offers, well, now the pricing goes up from there. Properties are always going to sell at market value as long as the market knows that the property is available, because there's a limit in supply. Either one of those properties, there's only one. So in either case, if nobody's bidding on it, well, they can bid lower. On the second option that I shared with you, if everybody's bidding on it, there's only one property. So whoever really, really wants it is going to have to bid more than everybody else. That's just the way it works. So again, I share with you the bottom line here is, if you want to get top dollar when selling, set the asking price too high, may deter buyers, and slow down the sales process. Set it a little bit low. You'll sell quicker and get more money. If you have any questions about this, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And that is the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So before the break, I was talking to you about our economy, and I don't care what the politicians say. You know, they're going to all tell you, they're going to all give you their own spin. So President Biden is going to say the economy is great. Former President Trump is going to say it's horrible. And you get to go to the grocery store. And I can tell you that I used to go to Trader Joe, once a week or every other week or whatever it was. And I'd spend, I don't know, $35 or $40. Never mattered what I did. I just got what I wanted, $35 or $40. It was a bag. And when you go to Trader Joe, if you live in an area where they have Trader Joe's, they fill their bag. It's not like you're going to some of the grocery stores where they only fill the bottom row. Trader Joe bags are full. So I got a full bag, $35, $40. Now I go to the Trader Joe. I haven't really changed what I buy, but now it's about $75. Same stuff. So I don't need either one of those presidents to tell me what's going on with prices. I know it because I'm out there in the marketplace. I don't need them to tell me what's going on with jobs. I listen. I hear friends of mine that are getting laid off. I hear companies that are laying off. I watch the news and see things like Pizza Hut laying off 1,000 people. I don't care that there's more jobs being created. When you talk about, I think the last report had 250,000 jobs were created or something like that. Well, the bottom line here is that's not a big number out of 340 million people in the U.S. Not a significant number. Okay, so what does that mean to you and me? I know that it's a soft jobs market regardless of what the headlines say. The headlines are what's going to move some of these institutions, the Federal Reserve, whatever. But you and I feel these issues. People that are getting laid off. You might even be worried that you're going to get laid off. I've been with people recently. They're worried that their company's not making the money they need to, and they're concerned. Are they going to get laid off? When do you think we're going to lend money to somebody? When they're laid off or when they have a job? Easy answer. Lenders never lend money to people who need money. Lenders lend money to people who want money. So let's talk about that. I've shared with you in the past that there are a lot of people that have credit card debt, unsecured debt, auto debt, student loan debt, public and private. A lot of debt out there. We went over $1 trillion in credit card debt. But a lot of people have a lot of home equity. And they're sitting on it and saying, well, Ron, I've got a 3% mortgage rate. Wonderful. You've got a 30% credit card payment or rate on your credit cards. But my mortgage is bigger. Yeah, I know. What's the blended household interest rate? Put them together weighted. See what that number comes out to. So many times I'm seeing 7s, 8s, 9s in the blended household rate, even though they've got a 3 or a 4 in the interest rate, mortgage rate. Okay, that doesn't matter either. But here's what does. How much equity do you have in your property? You've got the equity. You lose your job. Do you think you have any access to that equity? No. If you stop making the mortgage payment, what's going to happen? You might have a problem. Over time, you'll definitely have a problem. Stop making the credit card payments. Now, what are you going to do? Well, the bottom line here is there is a very, very simple solution. And I've talked to you about this before. I love this product that our friends at Geneva have. It's called the Home Select product. It allows you to make use or gives you accessibility to your home equity. And we look and see, well, people have a lot of home equity right now. If you've got a lot of home equity, are you using that to alleviate or eliminate financial stress, job stress? So let's think about this. If you go and get the Home Select loan on your home, it's a first position loan. So yes, it's going to pay off your existing mortgage, but it might go up depending upon what your income is and what your other qualifications are. You might be able to access 80% of your equity. You don't have to take it, but you might be able to access it. So let's just say you have $1 million property and you have a $300,000 mortgage. And so what does that mean? 80%. So you can get your loan amount for $800,000. Do you have to take that money? No. If you don't take that money, do you pay interest on that money? No. But if over time you lose your job and you want to take it, you write a check because it's a line of credit for you against the equity in your property, $800,000. Now, let's say you need to get $50,000 to pay off your credit cards. Write a check for it. You're going to use the Home Select banking or the liquidity to pay that. So now you're at $350,000 because you paid off $50,000 in credit card debt. All your money that you received, your income, your bonuses, everything. If you're collecting Social Security, any of that money goes or income tax returns, right? All of that money goes right into your Home Select and it pays down the loan. So you're not paying any interest on money you don't actually need. It's going to help you over time. You reduce the stress level in your house. When you reduce that stress level, relationships go up. Quality of life goes up. You don't have to worry. Sleep patterns go up. All of that's a benefit to you. If you want to explore this, it takes about 10 or 15-minute consult to explore it. Go to bookrs15.com, bookrs15.com. I'll walk you right through it, and you can talk to our friends at Geneva Financial and see if it makes sense for you. That is just a thought for you. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, how to make the most of your tax return. We'll talk about that. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numero 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com. rsrdebtfree.com. How to make the most of your tax refund. What are some ways you can make the most of a tax refund? Should you divvy it up into separate accounts? use it to pay off high interest debt, save it in a high yield interest account, or save toward a long-term goal. Financial Literacy Month is upon us, and along with saving more than you earn, looking at insurance options and getting your head around money basics, you can boost your financial wellness by making the most of small windfalls like tax refunds. Your tax refund may be one of the largest chunks of cash you get each year, so you want to make the most of it. In fact, according to the IRS, the average tax refund in 2023 was $3,140. If you anticipate getting a refund this season, here are some ways you can put it to good use. Divide your refund into separate accounts. If your return is being direct deposited into your account, you can select a split refund, which lets you choose up to 3 accounts to drop your funds into. Selecting designated accounts will help you save those funds with intention. In turn, you'll have less of a chance of spending that money without purpose. Consider dividing up your return into different savings accounts. For instance, you can put part of the money into your emergency savings fund, another part toward your vacation fund, and another for down payment on a home fund. Pay off high interest debt. Another way you can use your tax refund to help improve your overall financial wellness is to put it toward paying off high interest debt, credit cards, personal loans, etc. This will help you knock out your debt quicker and help you save on the overall cost of the loan. For instance, the average APR on credit cards in 2023 hovered at 22.8%. Let's say you have $5,000 in credit card debt with a 22.8% APR and paid it off in 5 years. Your monthly payment will be $140.38 a month, and you'll pay a grand total of $3,422.70 in interest fees alone. If you're able to put a chunk of that tax refund toward your credit card balance, and it takes you only 2 years to pay it off instead of 5, you'll pay $1,272.89, which saves you $2,150. Put in a high-yield savings account. High-yield savings account, HYSA, can help you grow your money faster. Typically, it features a higher than average interest rate than with a standard checking account. For instance, the current national average for a savings account, 0.46%, while some high-yield accounts, money market accounts, feature APRs that are 5%, if not higher. Besides a high-yield savings account, you can park those funds into a certificate of deposit, a CD. The main difference between a high-yield savings account and a CD is that a CD requires you to commit to locking in your funds for a set amount of time. Once the term ends, also known as the CD matures, you can either pull out the funds or roll it over into a new CD. If you need to pull out the funds preemptively, you'll be required to pay an early withdrawal penalty. Save for long-term goals. You can also put some of that tax refund toward a long-term financial goal, such as saving for your kids' higher education or aspirations post-high school, toward a down payment on a home, or maybe toward your wedding. Whatever the goal is, it's helpful to name your savings goals and assign them target dates and amounts. For instance, maybe you want to stash aside $40,000 for a down payment on your second home in the next 5 years. Bottom line, while there's certainly nothing wrong with enjoying some of that tax refund in the here and now, it's also a good idea to make the most of your refund so it helps propel your financial goals forward. That is the Your Credit Matters segment brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. And as always, we ask, set that radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.